So here is the video I promised on the spring beans, and I suppose the first thing to discuss is the reason I sown the beans, and the reason was just as part of crop rotation. This field has been in cereals for quite a number of years, and to break up the cycle of diseases such as take-all and different weed species, rotation of beans would suit this field. So that's the reason we done it. And also with the price of fertilizer, we will save fertilizer by sowing beans. So this is all linking from the chapter Principles of Crop Production. So we are doing some direct control at the beginning of a pest, and the pest is the weeds. So we are directly controlling it by spraying it with a total herbicide. And you don't need to know this, but the total herbicide we're using is Roundup, which is a type of glyphosate, which is what we looked at in the case study on glyphosate. So here you can see there is some grassweed issues, especially at the headlands there, and we are using GPS technology to help us spray this field accurately. And it's just one of the many benefits of modern agriculture. Next thing we look at is the soil samples for the field. So the field was a pH of 7, which means it was ideal for beans because they do not like acidic soil. From the soil sample, we can also see that the field was low in phosphorus, but a bit higher in potassium. The index for phosphorus is index 2, with the index for potassium index 3. So we know that we will have to pick a fertilizer higher in phosphorus than potassium. To help with this fertility issue, we decided to spread some farmyard manure, which was available to us. So it's just a mixture of cow dung, straw, which would have bedded the cattle, and maybe some waste silage. So you can see here we're just using a tractor and a muck spreader to apply the farmyard manure to the soil. And in applying these type of manures, it just shows how mixed farming enterprises and other farming enterprises can benefit off each other. And in an organic farming system, this would be the only way actually of fertilizing crops that an organic farmer might have access to. So using farmyard manure is kind of an organic part of growing the beans, although we're not organic. You can actually see here in this picture that the grass weeds are dying off. They're starting to turn yellow, which is telling us that our spraying off of the field has worked. So next is, I suppose, a part of indirect control, but it's just something I have to do with the system I run on my farm, which is ploughing. So it could be an indirect control of weeds or pests, but it is also the method of establishment I choose on my farm, just because the machinery is there for ploughing. You can see there on the right hand side all the weeds are buried, and on the left the weeds are still standing. So that's how it acts as an indirect control. A more sustainable way of establishing a crop of beans would be to directly drill them, and this would allow less carbon to be emitted from when the beans are established. So the next step we'll look at is spreading the fertilizer. Now don't forget, beans are legumes and they naturally fix nitrogen, so we don't spread any nitrogen or fertilizer. So this is O1020, meaning it only contains phosphorus and potassium, and that is all that's in our fertilizer. So then, using our GPS technology again, we go into the field and we apply our fertilizer with the fertilizer spreader, which is calibrated to spread, I think it was 100 kilos of 0.1020 per acre. And that is the application rate of our fertilizer. Next, we grub out any of the tracks the fertilizer spreader left, which reduces compaction, as beans do not like compaction. And just to overall improve or keep our soil structure fairly healthy, we try to reduce compaction. To deal with compaction, we remove a bit of air from the tires. So, valve out. Let the tire down. The idea is to put the extra cleats into the soil. So we're running a front press on the tractor, consolidates the soil, pushes air out of the soil, stop roots growing into air. We're running our low pressure tyres, and Basically that's the sowing operation of it. Discs put the seed into the ground, and after the seed goes into the ground it is then rolled over. So I'll show here as well. This is the seed. This is our bean seed. So that's what they look like, just like your normal beans, and that is what we're sowing. The variety is Lynx. Okay, so we just seen that last video there, the sowing rate 250 kilos per hectare, and this is the drilling outfit again here. So this is just what it looks like when it's on the ground, the marker lifted there. But the coulter puts the seed down good and deep, and the reason for that is another indirect control of a pest, which is crows, because if we did not put the seeds in nice and deep, the crows would put their beaks down and they will pull the bean seeds out of the ground. So it's another method of indirect control. And you can see here as well from the side how deep down the discs go and put the bean seed into the soil. So the next step in our beans, the field is now sown. We're here picking a few stones, and we're also rolling it. And the reason for rolling it is integrated pest management again. We're getting some control of different pests, and our herbicide will work better. It's just about fit to roll. You can see no place sticking, but it wouldn't want to be much wetter than that now, or it will be a bit sticky. Okay, so something else just to mention, the variety we sown is Lynx, and you can see there's 4 varieties available as Irish bean seed, and Lynx is the highest yielding bean variety, and is also very good against brackling, which just means the breakdown of the stem of the plant. The herbicide we'll be using is Nirvana. Hasn't been applied yet. It's a pre-emergence herbicide, and this herbicide will just help us deal with other weeds that could compete against the beans, because beans are not very competitive against weeds. So just to include that in the video also.